Hi, this is Pauline at Pauline Interviews, and I'm on part 3. I hope you watched part 1 and 2. Our topic is near-death experience, a different kind too. It's very fascinating. And I'm interviewing Mark Lesniewski, and we ended up talking about Mark's experience. That's in part 2, and then how we're going to talk about now how it changed his life. I mean, it was such a tremendous change into where his life, direction his life is going. And now he's going in a completely different direction. Just to summarize very briefly, when I interviewed you in part 1, you were going down the tubes, Mark. Mm-hmm. You were drinking and smoking and doing all sorts of things that were leading you to a path of destruction. And then we talked about what happened to you, your couple of experiences, and one being leaving your body, and we talked about the tug over your soul between what you thought of as a God spirit and a devil spirit, and then you came back and you saw a light, literally light, and let's take it from you saw the light, and then your life changed, mm-hmm. and your parents were glad, and your friends, and how it changed your relationships with people, and mm-hmm. then how it led you to what you're doing now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we're still in Bakersfield.
Okay, well, we left off in part 2.
Yeah,
California.
Still in Bakersfield, and I'm seeing this light, and I'm looking for work, and which is part of a connection to that traditional blue-collar upbringing.
At this point, you did have a college degree, right? You had a college degree.
I did have a college degree, yeah. Mm-hmm. But this experience happened just before the last semester, the auto accident. Mm-hmm. And then it was like, oh my God, this is not what I want. I really don't want to be a physical education teacher and coach. Uh-huh. But it opened me up, and it was like, okay, I'll do whatever. Just open it up to mm-hmm. God, to the universe, however you want to put that. And so I was looking for work, and people were, my friends that I was living with, he was helping me a lot. His friends were helping me. And one day it just struck me, it's like, gosh, all these people are giving me stuff and doing things for me, and I have nothing. I don't have a car, I don't have money, I hardly have any clothes, that kind of thing. What? And I got down on my knees in front of my crucifix, and I prayed, God, what do I have to give? Simple, just like that. And I don't know where that came from, but later on I come to realize that so many people are praying, God, what can you give me? What can I get? And not asking, what do I have to give? Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Next morning I wake up, I'm walking to the 7-Eleven to get the classifieds to look for work, and I'm crossing over a highway, and right at the center of that overpass, where this hum is coming up, I heard a voice, and it said, give your heart. Went into the ecstasy. Again, if somebody had pulled me over, I probably looked kind of catatonic.
You've had some pretty interesting experiences.
Yeah, I could have been put on meds and locked up for a little bit for my own safety. And that didn't happen.
Thank goodness.
Obviously, yeah. But you hear that message, give your heart. And what does that mean? So that's got to be worked out through the rest of my lifetime.
That's pretty general.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's really vague. At first, like, oh, wow, I know. Oh, what does that mean, God? But that message has been what I've had to do. And in giving my heart, part of that is telling people, you are the light of the world. I know it. I've seen it. So that, you can see that started leading into a direction that eventually led here, was following that message and that guideline. And that became the guiding light. Mm-hmm. And not long after that, how else is a good old Catholic traditional boy going to, I wanted to return as best as I could, love to God, because I had experienced so much love at the lowest point in my life.
You were lucky. We talked about that. You were very lucky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you had good friends as well. These friends that helped you. Yeah, you got lucky.
Yeah. So grace keeps becoming more and more meaningful to me. I didn't earn this.
Well,
grace is unearned love. And here it comes. So, of course, how best does a Catholic boy show love back for God? Enters the seminary. So I entered a seminary.
in California?
Well, I entered for the Archdiocese of Denver, and they sent me to a seminary in the San Francisco Bay Area. And so that was the first wave. And then I had an encounter, an event rather than a dream, with Francis of Assisi while I was there. And
While you were at
while I was at the seminary, yeah.
in Denver?
In the Bay Area, for Denver.
You sure travel around.
I know.
Let's see, Chicago, Bakersfield, Denver. Okay, I got you now in San Francisco.
Yeah, it doesn't stop there, believe me.
Now you're in Oregon.
Right.
We'll find out how you got here and where we are.
Well, I had this encounter with Francis, and
how did you have an encounter? I mean, it was a vision?
it was a liminal space. I wasn't asleep. I wasn't awake.
Okay.
So I'd taken a nap, but I never actually fell asleep. And we're going up this dirt road in the mountains or the hills behind the seminary there.
Now, you know that I'm open-minded, but for people that heard part one where you're taking drugs and stuff, at this point you've completely stopped taking drugs, so you were not hallucinating.
I was not hallucinating.
Okay.
None of this was
Right.
drug-induced,
Yes.
and I can't claim to have been totally clean and sober at the time, but I can claim that at that those specific
Yes.
moments, I was not
And I'm
under
not
the
making light of
influence.
it, I just want to
Right.
clarify.
No, I hear you. Thank you.
Because some people will say,
important.
oh God, what was he taking to
Yeah.
sleep?
No, that
Okay.
wasn't the case here.
I believe you.
Yeah. And so in the back of a Jeep, open top Jeep, and nobody's driving. Carl Jung would have a field day with that. Nobody's driving the Jeep. And as we're coming around the curve, there's Francis with his hand up like this.
What do you mean
indicating-
nobody's driving the Jeep?
It's a dream.
Oh, it's a
Or
dream,
kind of,
okay.
Okay, kind of
all right. It's an event. It's an event.
And nobody driving would say nobody's under control. I'm not controlling this. I don't have those
now
steering
I got you.
wheel,
I'm
okay?
up to speed here.
So Francis has his hand up like that, and stop the Jeep. I jump out of the Jeep, and Francis just says, "That's too easy." So I take off my sandals, I toss the sandals in the Jeep, and I follow Francis.
The Jeep is too easy. You're getting
The route, the vehicle that I was taking, the route that I was
Once
taking
again, symbolism.
was still too easy. Yeah, there was something more. And so based on that dream, well, I snapped out of that. I keep saying dream, but again, I feel like I met Francis of Assisi.
Were you actually sleeping?
He
You're
came to
taking
me.
a nap at the time?
I was laying down.
Okay, no, but I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
I thought you
Experiences
might.
too, Yeah.
I go down to my spiritual director's office. This is in a seminary, so institutional living. He's just down the way. I'm in my mid-20s, knock at his door, pounding, and his name is Father Dave Thayer. Dave. And he brings me in and he sits me down. I think he's grounding me because I didn't have a foot on the floor. And I said, Dave, I know what I want to do. I want to follow Francis. And there were Franciscans around there. And he says, Mark, you've got to take Francis out of the bird bath. He was a dirty, smelly, medieval man.
What?
And I don't think he was trying to dissuade me. I think he was trying to ground me.
Oh.
Well, sure enough, about a year later, I left the Archdiocese of Denver to join the Franciscans, and they sent me up here to Portland. And I wound up working at it was the St. Francis Outreach Ministry in Burnside. So Father Dave was right. And following Francis, I was amongst the dirtiest, smelliest people in the dirtiest, smelliest places in Portland and then eventually in Denver.
Oh, that's what he meant. He didn't mean St. Francis was dirty and smelly.
He meant St. Francis was, but what that's going to lead somebody, if you're going to follow Francis,
Oh, you have to,
you better be ready to go into places that no one else wants to go into.
Are you glad you did it?
Oh my God, yes. Oh, yeah, wouldn't have it any other way. One of the things we would do was go to these sisters used to be at Palatine Hill, which is now part of Lewis and Clark Graduate School. We would go, our community would go on retreats there, and one day I'm walking through the hallways, and there's a painting of Francis with his hand up like this. I'm going to fast forward because I'm betting we're running out of time.
Oh, that's okay. This is interesting, but yeah.
Like a little more than 30 years later, I get a job here, same group of sisters that were at Palatine Hill. I'm shown my office, and there's the painting.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I'm home.
You've lived a blessed life, really, when you think about it.
I've really been guided along the way, and it's.
So fast forward, we're here in Milwaukee, Oregon. We're at Franciscan Spiritual Center. Now, you're not a monk, but you're explain what you do. Explain a little bit to us about Franciscan Spiritual Center. You said it's been here approximately 9 years or so. Who you are, what you do here, and who might want to come. Is it open to everybody? You give me this book, I'll have to look at it.
Yeah, well, it's open to everybody, and the spiritual / religious world is opening up. It's opening up amazingly, and you know, so we're seeing more and more people coming to a place like this, looking for. And again, spiritual direction can be a misnomer. We're not telling people where to go spiritually. We're just people who have come to learn how to listen to spirit and how spirit communicates. So we pick it up in the room, and the two people, there's always that third. Like in a marriage, there's two people and spirit guiding that relationship. And so as I listen to somebody in spiritual direction, as all the spiritual directors here, we're okay, here's what I'm picking up. And we check in whether or not that resonates with the other person. And then, you know, we have plenty of retreats and workshops here. I do one on dream work, because dreams have been such a big part of my life. Dark night of the soul, and people are talking about global dark night of the soul these days, and how it's affecting everybody.
Yes.
And that in dark times, this is when the divine raises bright lights. And
I love
so
that, yeah.
You and Phil are bright lights.
Thank you. Phil's our photographer.
You're bringing that out. And he put on the bright lights.
Yes, he did. Yes. Phil and I were co-workers at KON-TV a number of years ago. Phil was a photographer, news and studio photographer, and I was a TV producer. So we love television, so we keep doing it with the YouTube show. But I want to mention about you now. Now you have a Master's of Arts in Contemplative Psychotherapy. So did you get that degree here did you get it in California or in Oregon?
I got that in Boulder, Colorado at Naropa University, which is a Buddhist-inspired university. Like with Catholic universities, you didn't have to be Buddhist to go there.
So that seems to, contemplative makes me think of it, kind of helping people find themselves. And
it's a very experiential program, and a lot of the experiential part of it is all contemplative practices. Part of your tuition is having a meditation instructor, your own meditation instructor, and
are you meditation? You're a retreat leader and a spiritual director. So you also meditate?
I teach meditation, mindfulness, and loving kindness. Yeah.
That's great. I think, a lot of people, that I've interviewed who are kind of spiritually, I hate to say advanced, I don't mean they're better than anybody else, but they've been working on it. They can more or less channel their own guides, but not like I probably could use some help. And so are you working with people more or less that are interested in developing spiritually but need a little help in getting to that point?
It varies, and one of the things we know about, a lot of research shows that there are stages of spiritual development. You remember M. Scott Peck, Road Less Traveled?
Less traveled.
The Road Less Traveled.
The Road Less Traveled. I thought
from way back in the back in the 70s. Yeah. It was top seller for a lot of years.
The poet used that word too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two Roads Diverge in Yellowwood.
Exactly.
Robert Frost.
Robert Frost. Yeah.
That reminds me of that.
So there have been a lot of research, and it shows that like every other area of being a human being, there are stages of spiritual development. And so we can help people at each of those stages. So really it's not prideful to say that there are people who are more advanced spiritually than others.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I just don't want to make somebody sound bad. We're
yeah.
all in the spirit light, we're all just as much love.
Oh, absolutely.
Some of us are a little closer to the light, I guess.
Yeah, well, some of us, we cooperate and do stuff more and, do different things, but...
Now, we can put this information up, too. You've got a lot of good information, so we'll let people know how they can reach you.
Great.
They have workshops, classes, retreats. What would a retreat look like?
Usually, if it's here, it's for just a day or maybe a weekend. But we also do Franciscan Hermitage Retreat, and that is, I think, 5 days out at a retreat place out towards Sandy, Alton Collins Retreat. So that's something that's been going on for a number of years.
There's a retreat place in Boring. A friend of mine, I believe, Gabby has one out there. And I noticed Phil and I interviewed someone a few weeks ago who was a retreat in Gaston. So there are a lot of retreats around. So there must be a need for it if people are coming.
It's huge, and people who would never, according to their tradition, go out and seek retreats or a spiritual director are starting to do that now, and it's just busting out. I mean, there's so much hope.
That's very uplifting. We're going to wrap this up, but I was just going to ask you quickly. You see people of all walks of life and all levels of development spiritually, and well, we'll give out the information. I don't know how much it costs. I'm sure it varies. And so you're not a monk, but you're a spiritual leader. And do you reside at this place then?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I live in Southwest Portland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And when people come for a weekend retreat, is there places to stay or they just come back?
We have 2 rooms for overnight retreatants, and that's about it for overnight retreatants. So that's available. And Pauline, one of the things that we see happening is we were way more siloed when you and I were growing up.
What do you mean by that? Protected?
Protestant silo,
right.
Catholic silo, religious silo, spiritual silo. Those silos are all breaking down. Yeah, so the language is changing, all of that. It's just an exciting time.
Age-wise, any age can come here, or do you have to be 18 or?
Many age.
Any age, and all walks of life?
All walks of life.
Don't mention any names, but could you pick out 1 or 2 people that you saw come here for, like, I don't know, a teacher, a doctor, that you could see that anybody with problems and they're hoping that you can solve them, or?
Well, the problems right now, are a lot of it is personal and global dark night of the soul. So a lot of people are going through this time of dryness, of feeling like they've been abandoned by God, of why is all this darkness happening? So,
I have a comment on that. I think, the internet is good and bad. I mean, by good and bad, I mean, the good part to me is I can go there and I can see people, doing YouTubes that do wonderful things. Like Ty Bollinger's one of my favorites on, the cancer, fighting cancer, or not, I hate using fighting, but, giving information on you don't have to have cancer, there are ways to cure it. And then also Dr. Dispenza, I love, there's people out there on the internet I just love. There are a lot more, Dr. McCullough, I can't name them all. But then there's other things I see, people that are doing good, like the 5G crisis, but when I see what's happening, I gotta say, I'm a positive person, but sometimes I wake up and I'm feeling really down. So I've got to focus. I've decided that I'm not going to focus on the negative. I'm going to put my heart and soul into the people that are doing great work, like yourself and those other people I mentioned, and a lot more that I don't have time to mention. I can't remember them all. Anything you want to add before we end part 3?
I can't think of anything. Just so grateful that the both of you would come here and now you're a part of the Franciscan Spiritual Center family. So
thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're in the community.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, we're trying with YouTube, and I hope people realize that we're trying to, I'm not saying we're saints or anything. We're trying to uplift the energy of the world because we need it. I think that's what you're doing here.
We want to be a beacon, a bright light in the midst of a dark time.
And I don't like to focus on any one country because I don't think it's just here. I know, it's all over the world. I think it's greed that's leading the world and not The love is gone and the greed is taking over, so we got to bring the love back.
Exactly.
Yeah, I hope people don't think I'm strange saying that, but it's a good thing, I think. So thank you for watching another edition of Pauline Interviews. I was talking to Mark Lesniewski. I got to say it right before we end. And thank you, Mark, and excuse me for murdering your last name. I do that to other people, too.
I've been near death, so that's
That's right.
Yeah,
It's nothing
so that's
for you.
okay. Yeah.
He's been near death. He doesn't mind. So I also want to say I appreciate you watching Pauline Interviews. And also, if you like the show, that's great. And please tell your friends about it. And we wouldn't mind if you really liked it, if you would subscribe to our show. Thank you so much. And if you do subscribe, you will get notified on another show is coming up and what it's about. Thank you.